because of my profound connections to hip-hop, obviously. I hate bios because I always think that I'm going to be able to stand, like, because I always think people write such good bios, and I'm like, I want to write a good bio, and then I'm like, oh my god, I have to listen to people say all this bullshit I wrote myself, and it really upsets me. So, one time I wrote a bio though, and it was just listing my favorite six favorite words. And I didn't know they were my 6 favorite words until I wrote the bio, and they were like, Jennifer Zilm's 6 favorite words are fragment, threshold, room, soft, turning, and girl. And I'm like, I should write a sestina about that. And so, because I had written a sestina when I was a college student, and it was an assignment, and I was not very good, so I wrote this poem. And I was thinking a lot that if anybody wants to talk to me about any of these 6 words at any time, you can text me in the middle of the night and I will respond, because I'm redeveloping my insomnia as part of my creative practice.
And I can vouch for that. I can vouch for that. That is true.
That's
you can
true.
text her any time of the night.
Messages.
Yes.
And really, you know what? I have such excellent boundaries that my text messages are a delight. And I felt really bad because I was spending a lot of time texting. And then I thought, no, because Rilke has these books, like, because I had this epiphany that, like, as poets, Rilke is our dom, right? Like, nobody wants to admit it. Like, because Stephen Collins has this thing called I Thought the Lyric and the Lyric One. And he keeps referencing Rilke quite brazenly, and I thought, oh, it's because he's all our doms, right? And then he's got this line in the elegies about how beauty is only the first touch of terror we can still endure, and I'm like, Jesus, can you imagine that's such a dommy thing to say, right? Or so I thought. Anyways, but that's, so, with that in mind, this is my sestina, and it's called, it's a postcard, and it's about the desert. And it'll be in my next book. I think it's gonna be the first poem. Hey you, this postcard, just like every other, is just a fragment of a larger journey. Stepping over the threshold of the plain, I entered this hot room of a country. Seen entire, the desert seems soft, but the sand is sharp to touch, like turning hard snow with bare hands when I was a small girl. Old city, feet scalded, I gave my cracked sandals to a girl to mend the straps with leather, each fragment into the soil she cobbled, her hands fast turning the shoe as she stitched, crippled father in the threshold of their apartment, a huddle of darkness soft at the border of their dark interior room. Within the jumbled storefront there was barely room for movement. A dim light bulb over the girl shone out, her smooth skin soft as the leather in her hands, as though she herself were a fragment of fabric, a spasm of ancient rubble. She spoke her price beyond the threshold of my hearing. I tossed notes of a pink and purple adder, turning back into the walled city. Streets danced with men, narrow turning and twisting beside butcher shops and blue worship places to my room. Safe in my ladies-only hostel, the sign above the threshold promised respite, semi-private, but on the lower bunk, a girl who spoke a language neither mine nor the city's, only a fragment of English when I showed her my transformed sandals. Soft, like a mantra, she said it, the back of her tongue against her soft palate, as though her alien mouth enjoyed the slow turning of sibilants and fricatives, as though the word itself was a fragment of a great puzzle that would connect us, me and my roommate, my companion of chance and accident, this bewildering girl, smiling as though any moment the threshold of touching she might violate, as though the threshold I had crossed was read as invitation, soft, to strange lovemaking, some continental girl on girl. How easy it is in a desert place to mistake the innocent turning of a doorknob, the entrance of a stranger into a shared room. You must understand, traveling alone, you are just a fragment of your former self, your body sunburnt, dusty, threshold turning, your resolve soft as her hands on my hungry wrists in that room. I mean, really, wish you were her, this strange girl touching this tired fragment. So that was my sestina, which evolved over thinking I had these words, and then I got really interested posthumously. That's not the right word, but you know, like after, like as a post-mortem, I was like, I should look into the roots, because I read that you should really like see what kind of words you like, if you like Latin or Anglo-Saxon words, and they're all, except for fragment, they're all like old Germanic words, and I thought, well, I don't know what that says, but it means I don't like Latin words, which but it was a fun thing, and then I was thinking about the word threshold is really good because the H does 2 things, and also because thresh is 2 verbs and they make it into a noun, so it's pretty exciting. exciting, right? And then often when I read from this book, people assume I'm really religious. Like, my publicist sent me this email and she was like, Jennifer, I don't know how to ask this other than just to say, are you Jewish? And I was like, no, just sorry. But I can see why you think that, and the reason you think that is because of Bob Dylan. And so, like, I was thinking about, like, you know, when you list your turn-ons and stuff in like Playboy or like dating profiles, like one of my absolute a barrier you can't cross is you have to have listened to Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits Volume 2 before the age of 10. And if you haven't, I have no time for you. And that is why this is a sonnet about why I got so into all things Bible. And it's called Post-Diluvian Baggage. Bob Dylan is the best in the basement. I mean, Greatest Hits Volume 2 on tape. I am a child in a jump seat, driving, being driven along another tree line from the Isle of Vancouver to some shithole logging town that a 20-year-old Jewish kid says 10,000 miles of graveyard mouths and forever I'm a shitsa slut who hates camping. But size 2, careful, tells me I'm riding high, going nowhere tomorrow with my arriving bride, and big boxes along King George Highway read The Brick and the Rock, and now I'll spend my life with Bible, apocalyptic, a chip on a bare freckled shoulder. That's my reason for being, I guess. But I suppose I should review this book because that would be a terrible thing if I didn't. But perhaps this is another poem because I've been thinking a lot about as I was speaking about how I'm rewriting In Search of Lost Time, but only set in Surrey because I read this thing where they were talking about Philip Roth, because Philip Roth is kind of the king of the run-on sentences post-Proust, and they referred to Newark as his Cambrai, and I'm like, well, come on, if Newark can pull it, I think Surrey can pull it off. So, but then I was trying to dig around I was like, when did I ever have references to Surrey? And I think it's because I was really deeply embarrassed about being a Surrey girl. And so I tried to find all the references to Surrey or the place of Surrey in this book, and there's like 2. But here's the first one, and it's called Reasons You Love the Dentist. And it's a list. 1. Your mouth straight jacket. Oh, and I should tell you, there's no actual reference to Surrey, but there's Surrey places in it, but you have to know it to know, because I'd be too embarrassed to actually say Surrey. 1. Your mouth straight jacket, you can finally stop talking. 2. You will be rewarded with paste and wax paper for keeping still. 3. The drill is white noise. You creatively attend to silence. 4. A rush of water squirted into the lower bowl of your mouth reassures you won't ever be thirsty. 5. This is Surrey. In the late 1980s, Dr. Killick patiently explained his sterilization techniques to your 8-year-old sister so she wouldn't have to fear contracting AIDS. 6. The chair is a classroom. You are privy to new discourses, new words, old words reformed. 7. You are the center of attention. 8. There are minerals in your mouth that you have never even considered. 9. Students full of thought, your gums will resurrect and your tongue will explore Dr. Young's architecture. 10. Now this hygienist, whose Christian name you've forgotten, acts as a pushy yoga instructor, forcing you to focus on breathing through your nose, 11. You grind your teeth. The war vet digs holes in your molars, carves crevices at the back of your incisors, yet Dr. Young patiently rebuilds, adds height, matches shades of off-white, and says that despite the grinding, the acid erosion, the slant of your bite, your damaged sibilance, you are the most relaxed patient she's ever had. And 12, also you are lucky. You are still young. You still have good bones. So that's a happy little poem, I think. Happy. So all these books, they're all about different doctors that I've had the great blessing to encounter in my life. This is a poem. It's called Email to the Full Professor. Subject, no subject. Date, not specified. Dear Dr. S., I hope this email finds you. Before our next appointment, I wanted to mention some thoughts I had in the hallway after my last meeting. I was waiting for the committee to calibrate the adequacy of my progress when you called me back into your office to initial the form you would then forward on to graduate studies. You see, when I still thought I was a New Testament scholar, I dreamed of a dissertation entitled Savior in the Sandbox, a socio-material examination of Jesus and dirt. My primary sources would be the sight-giving miracles in the Gospels of Mark and John, Jesus pasting mud and spit on a blind man's eye, and those verses where the judges bring an exposed woman before the Messiah and he traces letters in the dust rather than condemning her. I wanted to prove, conclusively, that this connects God forming Adam from feminine dirt in the opening chapters of Genesis. What I'm trying to say is, I left the New Testament because I realized a PhD wasn't going to teach me what Jesus wrote on the ground in that orphan passage appended to the fourth gospel. Also, those magisterial Greek letters in the early witnesses look so bold and oppressive, but Hebrew, as you must know, is warm. Their characters round and open, an empty tomb we entered into. Now that I have learned to write in script, my hand feels lovely as I break the bottom line with my final sides. I can't provide a source, but I heard somewhere that you ended up with some Hebrew fragments in your hands when you were just a young nun. You confessed you wanted to make a grand point about music and prayer, but were contented, or rather overwhelmed, with those broken pieces of paper in your hands. This is what always draws me back to your research profile, despite the silences between us in your office. I too would like to make a grand point about angels and women and song and the sonics of gendered prayer, yet I'm uncertain when you say I have to be careful when defining mysticism and transformation. Perhaps you're saying I shouldn't just throw words around. But listen, regarding your insistence that I completely revise my chapter on the songs of the Sabbath and sacrifice, I can't go back to those vacant spaces. It's not that I can't remember what syllables fill them. Oh, sorry, imagine. Once I start, wait a minute, I'm not sorry at all. Imagine whatever, you can choose. Imagine or remember, either way. Once I start, I can't stop imagining everything else. The Second Jewish War, the flames, the taste of the boys in the backseat before I even learned the Aleph Beit, the bones of that woman who died in childbirth, the archaeologist dug up, a fetal skull trapped in the bones of her pelvis. The question becomes not what could have been in the disintegrated text, but what wasn't. All the lines lost to ellipses, implied in brackets, make me tremble like Jerusalem syndrome crossed with repetition propulsion. When I was in Jerusalem, I hired a cab at Jaffa Gate in the Old City on Shabbat to take me to the Dead Sea. I saw only heaped rocks in those ruins. So my tour guide and I walked away from the sign that pointed to the dugout library and headed toward the void in the cliff where a shepherd first found these Judean mud pots. Along the way, we, Sharif and I, were distracted by a small herd of gazelles. We approached them slowly before their eyes unearthed us. The Hebrew noun is gazalim. It is both masculine and plural. The photo I took shows them scattering letters on a quickly decomposing canvas, their bodies nearly indistinguishable as they run back into the dust, disappearing into the brackets of the hills. Okay, that's 10 minutes, right? It's gotta be 10 minutes.
Pretty close.
Sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, now I talk about process. Process. I met somebody the other day who said that his specialty, because have you ever noticed that people's specialties have gotten really special? And his was process reorganization. And I said, hold on a second, I have to write that down, which is apparently not a thing you're supposed to do on a date. I really reorganize my process a lot. In fact, I find that organizing books really calms me down and gets me into a good headspace. I also like to cut and paste. That's one of my really fun things I like to do. And have dedicated notebooks. So this is my all-purpose notebook. And this is sort of like my date book for when I'm supposed to do things. And then I try to have a notebook that's just writing about books I'm reading about, which is called the commonplace. And I have been doing this for about a year before someone's like, did you know that kind of thing is called a commonplace? And I'm like, well, now you tell me. Because, that's kind of a useful thing to know, I think. And I cut this from National Geographic today. And that's part of the process, I think. And yeah. I also like to write for people. If people are if I have a deadline in my head or that I'm writing for somebody, then it makes it much easier. And the other thing I do is I always develop these intense affections for women who are born between November 25th and November 28th. And I know that sounds like I'm making it up, but it keeps happening. So I have these very deep, close, and I always write poems to these. Now I've added a fourth, so I've got a little harem of these women I can write poems to. So, and they're always born usually in the very late 70s or the early 80s, between November 25th and November 28th. And I would say they're a pretty integral part of my process museologically, because when I was 12 or something, or no, I must have been 14, I would go to the Surrey Public Library, and one doesn't know what books to read. And I'm like, well, I'm going to read this guy. And the guy was Irving Layton. And I think probably if you're a young girl in Surrey, probably the last poet you need to read is Irving Layton, because you're going to get your Irving Layton education anyways. And but anyways, nevertheless, he read these poems, and I went back and looked at my old lines, and I'm like, oh, I was going for the Layton-esque bombastic line quite a bit. And he was always writing about women, so I, of course, had to do that too. And so that's my whole process story. My process. That's my process reorganization. I'll add it to your LinkedIn profile as your skill.
When you're taking notes about the books that you read, how do you bring that into your writing?
I find it just often just makes its way in.